Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Weekly Success Builder. I'm glad to have you guys join us. I am letting people in. A lot of Otter AI people joining. So now I've got to approve all of these. Okay. Alrighty. Welcome to today's episode. I'm very fortunate to have Laura Brandeo with Lighthouse Advisors joining us. And we were just kind of chatting before I let everybody in. And we were talking about, what can we discuss that would make this week a success for people. And so Laura mentioned about being more intentional. So that's what we're going to talk about. So
Awesome.
Laura, you want to kick it off?
Awesome. Well, number one, thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules. And for those of you that are reading this afterwards and watching the replay, so happy that you took a moment to do that. Here we are, guys. We're mortgage people at the end of another month, right? And Valerie and I were having a conversation. We were like, man, how is it? We're almost at, the last quarter of 2025. And I was saying to her, the first thing that we were having a discussion about was time, right? We all know that no matter who we are, no matter how successful we are, no matter how many titles we have, we cannot get any additional time. So the one thing that we need to do is we need to be intentional with the gift of time that all of us have. Now, with that, how do we maximize that time? How do we take that time and be intentional about that, right? And one of the things that Valerie and I were even mentioning was, a lot of us, when we're raising young families, we have this thought in our brain that later on, when our kids are grown, wow, we're going to have all this extra time. But guess what happens, everyone? We fill the time with other things. The next thing you know, we're running organizations, or we're volunteering, or we're running around, or maybe we're traveling. Maybe we're filling time with travel. But regardless of what we're filling the time with, it always seems it gets full. Now, the only way that we can truly, truly get the most out of it is being intentional. Okay? So today, what we want to speak about is how can we be intentional with every moment that we have? And I'm not going to speak about time blocking, and all of you have heard millions and millions of things about, oh, you have to block out certain times. Well, the one thing I want to mention to you, for everyone out there, and I don't care who you are or what you do, we all wake up the same way. And what that means is that moment, that first moment that we wake up, we are the most rested. Our brains are the clearest they will ever be in any moment of the day. So you want to know what the first thing you need to do? Not pick up your phone. And I know we all reach, and I know we all go to grab that phone because we want to know what clients emailing us, what's happening with our realtor partners, what's going on in the world, maybe on our social media, who texted me, maybe in the middle of the night. We all are tempted to do that, but that's not the moment to do it. Because in that moment, remember, if our brains are the freshest, if our brains are the most receptive to set up the whole rest of the day, what do we do with that time? I'll tell you something that I do. First thing I do is I'm grateful I get another day. My very first thing is, man, how lucky I am. Because I'm telling you, the minute you start your day with that first moment of gratitude, that gratitude lasts the whole rest of the day. Grateful that we can get to go to work. Grateful that we get to serve our clients and our communities. That gratitude sets your whole day. Because the difference of, am I waking up going, man, I wish I could just keep hitting snooze and keep hitting that snooze button. Or am I saying, I am so lucky today that I get this day to serve. You get to serve your family. You get to serve your clients. You get to serve the families that you're helping. Those are who you're serving for this day. And then at that moment, once you've woken up, you know what your plan is for the day, you want to tackle you probably have heard this expression before, but I'm telling you guys, live by it. You have to eat the frog. What does that mean? For those of you that don't know that expression, your hardest thing that you need to tackle in the day, you want to do it when your brain is the sharpest. It could be solving a structuring of a loan. Maybe there's something that, went sideways and you need to figure out, I need to put this at a new lender, or I need to switch it from a full doc to a non-QM bank statement, or I need to do something with this. Or it could be that tough conversation that maybe you need to have with someone. You want to think about, how am I going to position this? How am I going to, reach out to them? You want to do that before you start compounding other things that are coming at you. So the next thing you want to do is tackle that issue. Because if you move that off of your plate, you can start your day and start your regimen. Now, being intentional about your day doesn't just start the moment that you wake up. One of the other things that Valerie and I were speaking about is, we all hear and we're all sitting here hoping that, the Fed's going to reduce rates and there might be more refi opportunities coming at some point. Okay, guys, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter if that does happen or if that doesn't happen. We have to be intentional with every potential client that we work with. That means always being, well, who am I reaching out to today? Who am I reaching out to tomorrow? Who am I reaching out to next week? Because those relationships, whether it's someone you've done business with before or someone new, you're doing it, you have to be intentional about following up and staying in contact with them. I will tell you something that I do. About, I guess 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I had no social media presence. I never was on Facebook or LinkedIn or any social media. But then I realized, wow, the world is changing. And honestly, I just read something. Two different top CEOs in the mortgage industry. I've seen them put out something about this in the last week. And they were saying that the future of an originator or mortgage companies in general are going to be those who are considered influencers. Now, I don't mean you need to be the top level, TikToker or YouTuber, but you do have to have that digital presence. So again, going back to being intentional. To this day, like right now, maybe I have 15,500 contacts or relationships on LinkedIn. Okay. Now, I'm working on every single day. I'm intentional about strategically adding more. Now, that doesn't mean going down the list and just connecting to anybody. That's easy. It's strategically and intentionally making sure that I'm adding to the network of people that I eventually can be in their lives. Someone I can provide value to, or vice versa, someone that will seek value from me possibly. That is part of your being intentional plan. So whether it's your existing clients, your past clients, or continuing to add your own brand, this is a plan that you should have, that every single day, I am going to do X. Whatever X is. In your particular business, it's going to be specific to you. But we can't wait until, actually going back to, again, me and Valerie spoke for 5 minutes, and these are literally all the things that we spoke about. Valerie and I were saying that the reason why time speeds up as you get older versus when you're a child, right? When we were little kids, we would be like, oh my God, it's forever until Christmas comes. It's forever until we get out of school for the summer. It seemed like it took forever for time to pass. Well, just so you know, the reason why that is that when you're young and you have less time behind you and more time ahead of you, time goes slow. But the older we get and there's more time behind us versus time ahead of us, time speeds up. That's the reason why as we age, we actually go, man, why does it seem like the time is going so fast? That's the reason. The comment Valerie said was, you know what? I can look back 15 years, 20 years, and I can see all the things that I've accomplished. I'm sure all of us can do that. But then we have these plans of what we want to see ahead of us. And the thing is that we have to intentionally, again, every day be working one step closer to what that list looks like. Maybe it's traveling somewhere. Maybe it's opening up your own nonprofit organization. Maybe it's serving a charity or an organization. Those things don't happen haphazardly. Those things happen on a day-to-day investment intentionally. The same as if we were to open up a savings account today and we put $1 in there, where we know that it's only going to continue to grow or make progress if we continue to add another dollar. Our time is in that jar, and we need to make a decision. Where do we take it and move it so it continues to grow? All right, Valerie, I think you have a couple of questions that we're going to dive into.
Yes. When you were talking about social media, it got me thinking, like, you mentioned when you first got on, you hardly ever got on. And now, like, if I am looking up a person and I see that they don't have very many followers, or like I look on Facebook and they've got, like, I don't know, 35 friends, I'm like, is this person even real? It's kind of strange how presence on social media has become a validator. And so, you talk about being intentional, you have to intentionally want to post, to be your most authentic self, to put things out there to validate yourself, because that's really what you're doing. I used to think, like, people do not need to know what I am doing. But at the end of the day, they do, because otherwise they may not think that I have the skills or possess the ability to accomplish whatever it is that they would like me to accomplish for them.
It's just the reality of our society now, right? Like, we could live in denial and say that's not important. But to your point, when someone wants to work with us, they are going to look you up, right? And what they see is where they're going to make a decision if you connect to them. And in our world at this moment, people can get a view and a peek behind the curtain to make that decision before doing business with you. And they are going to. Here's another thing, guys, before I forget about being intentional. To everyone on this page, if there is one thing I need you to take away today, it's your reviews. Guys, if we also want to think about people looking us up, we live in a, quote, Amazon world. If people want to go to a dinner, what are they doing? They're checking the Yelp reviews. They're looking to see what the comments are, if people had a great experience, right? The same thing is happening with all of you. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I have my clients do that works really well. What they do is they kind of use almost the Uber scenario, where they say, I'm just picking Lisa's in front of me here. So I'm going to say, hey, Lisa, you are so wonderful to work with. I would like to make a review about you. Okay. Now, most of the time people will go, oh my gosh, you want to post a positive review about me? Like, you didn't ask me. I'm offering it to you. Now, generally people will say, thank you so much, Lisa. And then say, and if you find it valuable, or if you find it in your heart, could you also please give me a review? Now, you're not asking them to say a particular thing. You don't even know what they're going to say, but I'm sure you've been working with that person and you understand that. But doing a reciprocal review, whether it's a Google review, whether it's a LinkedIn recommendation, I've had plenty of people, they say to me, hey, Laura, can you please give me a recommendation on my LinkedIn? I will absolutely do that for anyone that asks me. I will always do that, as long as I know the person, of course. So, and then you say it back. You know what? I'm going to do this. If you see it in your heart, I would love if you would also do a recommendation for me. It's a wonderful way that you can work with your referral partners and you can build each other. You're providing something of value. And again, you're being intentional. You're spending time building your brand, building your company brand, and building a network of people that think like you, see the world like you, have a common theme and a common bond. We all know this, everyone. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So all we need to do is continue to grow the network of people that know, like, and trust each other. So Valerie, what are some other recommendations that you've seen in terms of the brand and the social and the digital presence?
Well, I would say a couple things is you kind of have to, obviously, it can't just be all business. But it also doesn't need to be 25 photos of the dinner that you ate that night. I think there's a sweet spot in there of being intentional of the message that you're trying to convey, but also to show that you are a real person that has some substance behind them, that does travel, that does, go out to dinner, that does whatever. Plus also too, if somebody's looking at my page, I don't want it to be clogged up with 25 photos of meals. And then the post that I did about, why it's a great time to prepare yourself for, refinancing is like so far down, nobody's going to scroll. It's kind of like intentionally putting a message out there. And I do think we have so many tools available to us now. We had a conversation earlier too about ChatGPT versus, and this is a new one that I have talked about and that I actually just learned about when I went to Neil Dingra's Forward event earlier this month, was Claude, CLAUDE.ai. And right now I'm preferring Claude only because it feels like it's two people who speak the same language that are communicating with each other, and I'm getting better results. So I could go to Claude.ai or ChatGPT and ask for 30 1-minute topics on the mortgage industry. And then I could use Claude and Canva to create a social media calendar. I could create my graphics. I could do all those things and create postings and intentionally do that every single day. Another one that I also learned about earlier this month, which is another reason why I like to go to these conferences. People are always like, "Oh, you're everywhere." I'm like, "Well, yes, I am." but I do like to go because you always find new things. Another one is, so I did, I have my podcast, Val's Vibe. It wound up being about 30 minutes, a podcast last Friday with Kimber White, and we were talking about NAM National. So I took that podcast after I trimmed it down and before I added the captions, and I uploaded it into Opus Clip, OPUSCLIP. And
that's what I use too.
It made 30 1-minute videos with captions that I could go in and, if it misspelled a word or whatever, I could update the captions, and it made 30 clips. And that was just out of one post that took me, or, one podcast that took me 30 minutes out of my day. But you literally, depending on whatever it is you're talking about, would have a whole entire month's worth of postings so that you can intentionally have a consistent message. Maybe maybe you pick a topic like the month of August. It's going to be first time home buyer month, because now we're getting out of summer. People are, maybe some are starting to look, they're not so concerned necessarily about their kids staying in whatever school district, or maybe they are, But anyway, you could create a 30-minute video on, or a 20-minute video on the topic of how to prepare as a first-time home buyer for purchasing, put it in Opus, and you literally have 30 clips that you could use, and then you have sort of a common theme. And then as we do get closer to whenever this refi situation is going to happen, which, you know, knock on wood, is supposedly 2026. You know, then by then you've got 5 months worth of postings that you're preparing people. You're intentionally moving them in to looking at the market, what's going on and all of that. And then when it comes time, well, now you've branded yourself as an expert and an influencer. And they aren't going to just see a bunch of photos of whatever meal that you ate last night.
Yeah. And it does come back to, again, being intentional, having that plan and making a deposit every single week into that. Now, I'll tell you, like my social media, I do everything on Sunday. Meaning if there's a video that needs to be recorded, Opus clipped, whatever, every single thing is done on the weekend. Because during the week, there's a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm in the middle of this problem or this issue, or I have to handle something. So you're like, I don't have time to post. I don't have time to take care of that. But if you pre-plan everything, you can do it with a strategy. You can have everything done ahead of time. And then that way it's very easy during the week that you've already have it done. As humans, we're going to do the things that come the easiest first. That's the reason why you have to eat the frog when you have the problem. The same thing with coming through your strategic plan. You want to pre-plan it, do it on Friday afternoon or do it during the weekend before your week starts so that way it just happens and you don't have to worry about it. There's so many tools like Claude, like ChatGPT, Opus clips to cut down. PowerPoints, you can use Gamma. I love Gamma, makes it so simple to make your PowerPoints, right? Now, Valerie mentioned podcast, all right? That's another thing that I started in 2019 when I was trying to build my brand on social media. Every single person here should have a podcast, hands down. It is something that everyone should have, right? Now, what you make your podcast about, you could interview your client partners, meaning your realtors. You could, one of the best ones I've ever seen a loan officer do, they interview local people that are business owners. And so what they do is they go around their town and they knock on, they go meet the butcher and they go meet the dry cleaner and they go meet the hairstylist and the nail salon and all of that. And they say to them, hey, I'm Dave and I'm your local, mortgage loan officer in XYZ place. And what I'd love to do is spotlight you and your organization or your company, your business on my podcast. Now, your best way to do it is to do it in person, of course, right? To actually go there and show it. But even if you did it virtually, what happens is a lot of times these people are like, I don't know any loan officers. I don't know a mortgage professional. The next thing you know, you're making connections within your local market so that you become the guy or the gal. And the next thing you know, you're helping promote their business. They're helping promote your business. And then together, you guys are growing. It doesn't have to be the local community. You could do something where I've seen loan officers interview their clients, where they give their experience of the journey of the first-time home buyer that's buying their first home together, right? Or it could be the veteran that they help that never thought they would be able to get into a home. Whatever that is, if you spotlight those different scenarios, what happens is the next time someone is searching for, that family is in the same situation as me. I didn't have savings, but look, they were able to help them with a DPA. They were able to help me, even though maybe my credit score wasn't where I thought I needed it to be. I didn't know that you could do a renovation loan. You know, things like that. You could spotlight your expertise, why you are actually showing other families that look, there's a family that looks and sounds and is in the same situation as you. It's a beautiful way to show yourself and allow other people to connect with an understanding that you are the expert. All of these little things are unique ways that you can continue to grow yourself and your business. But again, it takes being intentional, because without that plan and making that deposit every day, that's where people get tripped up. They go, oh, we'll use the savings account. I only have a quarter. A quarter is only a little tiny bit. If I put my quarter in, what is that really going to add up to? Guess what? You keep putting the quarter in over and over and over and over and over again, it grows out to be a lot. It's the same thing with our days. We have to be intentional that if our plan is to get to X, we have to put those quarter deposits in. And that starts with how we start our day, with how we look back to make sure we're making our deposits and making progress. And then we're including other people and other actions so that you can maximize it. Because maybe all of a sudden somebody comes along with $5 and we add that into that quarter, and wow, look at how much progress we made. But it all starts with being truly intentional.
Absolutely. So Monica is asking, how do you start a podcast? So I know we only have 4 minutes left. However, I will give my brief version and then you can chime in if you want, Laura. So first of all, I had the thought of, I have some things I want to say and that I need to get off my chest. Let me do a podcast. So I just came up, I chat GPT'd at the time a name, and I got Val's vibe from Chat GPT. So you don't have to rack your brain. It could be, this is Monica asking this question. It could be Monica's Minute. You don't have, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I film all my podcasts on Zoom. I use Canva, just the basic Canva account. I created a logo with Canva. I upload my videos into Canva to add captions. I like the way that Canva does captions better than some of the other software. Plus, I've already paid for a Canva account, so I might as well use it for that. I use Zoom to trim it down. You can also use Canva to trim your podcast down if you want to get rid of the front part or get rid of the end part or put something in the middle. And then as I said, I use Opus Clips to create highlights because some of these, like Instagram, doesn't like a 30-minute podcast being uploaded. So you can create clips from that. And I also post on YouTube. And I post the full version in YouTube. My titles, my descriptions, I'm putting in now Claude to spit them out. I'll modify them slightly. And then just start. The hardest part is starting. And then trying to feel your way through what software that's available is comfortable to you. And also don't just talk about mortgages. I did one podcast on pickle juice. So every single morning I do 2 shots of pickle juice. I buy my pickle juice from a certain company. It's called Olive My Pickle. You can order it online. And I have gotten more comments. I get people now giving me pickle items. So I've embraced my love of pickle juice. I posted it online. I tagged the company. They actually responded. I have now some pickle apparel that I'll wear occasionally. People always comment on it. So, something that you think is just insignificant, but something that you consistently do. And, you're just looking for something to share. just do it. Like Nike
Don't
says,
don't
just do
overthink it. To Val's point, don't overthink it and use the tools that you have. You don't need any special stuff. You have your camera right on your laptop or on your computer and a microphone that's clear. Use Zoom, use Canva. We have the AI tools. Just get started. That's the most important message. That's it. And honestly, Val, I'm sure you can have someone come on and kind of walk them through, maybe do a whole segment on
Yeah.
starting your podcast. I
Yeah.
think that would be really great, and I highly recommend everyone do it. Whether you want to give your own thoughts or whether you want to bring guests on or alternate. You could do sometimes you, sometimes with a guest.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So that 30 minutes has literally flown by. So thanks everybody for being on today's, watching us on today's episode. Hopefully we gave you some good tips. I will be posting this in NAM Hive along with a summary. I'll provide Laura's contact info if you want to reach out to her. Our August 4th episode is featuring Jason Dickinson from CIC Credit, where we are going to delve more into Tri-Merge versus VantageScore. And what that's going to look like from the mortgage perspective, and also from a credit data seller perspective. So hopefully everybody can join that episode on August 4th, but hope everybody makes the rest of this week a success and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Laura.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.